because otherwise he should theoretically throw his Nexus down before throwing the Robo down, since a Robo implies he's not going to be aggressive, at least in that positioning. Or maybe he does want to be aggressive, and just wants to take the long way to his opponent's base. Well, I mean, the third gateway definitely says that he wants to be aggressive. This is just not a common PvP strategy. Theoretically, he should have like a Dark Shrine and do DT drops if he was going to do this. His extractor will be cleared, and that will allow Kraken to take all 4 assimilators now. He is going to start with 2 because he doesn't need the other ones yet. And Kraken is going to scout now with his 2 stalkers. As the timing for Oracle has sort of passed now, so those stalkers don't have to be at home. DTs could definitely walk into Kraken's base at the moment, and if that were to be the case, he would just be dead. He has no way of stopping that. Zenidor actually is going to position his stalkers on the ramp, so if DTs were coming at Zenidor, unless they were being dropped, Zenidor would have enough time to react, in theory, especially since he has a Robo for an Observer. Maybe the reason... Oh, that's actually probably why Zenidor has decided to do this. He's probably saying to himself, okay, of all the things that you could be doing, a Robo will protect me the best. So I'm going to go for a somewhat aggressive opening that allows me to defend against whatever you do. Zenidor is going to take his Nexus now. So this is basically as late as he can possibly take it in this particular matchup situation. I mean, he could theoretically take it later, but then he'll be irrecoverably behind. Because, I mean, basically the natural is nearly saturated for Kraken, while Zenidor is just now starting his. Kraken is going to push with some stalkers. Zenidor will back up. He does warp in some zealots, and is going to turn around and pursue the opponent now, that he has something to tank. This will force his opponent to micro more, and so Zenidor just doesn't have to do much. Kraken will lose a stalker. He does get 1 stalker from Zenidor, so that's nice. So, I mean, relatively even trades, actually, at the end of the day. Zenidor just didn't have to do as much. APM-wise. Zenidor is getting an Immortal now, as he realizes that it's probably Blink. The Stonker count is fairly high, and while Blink... Okay, so 3-gate Blink pressure is not cheese. But if you play cheesy, it suits you. It's the macro build that favors the cheesy style, as it were. What's it, 3-gate Blink or 4-gate Blink? It's 3-gate right now. Zenidor has an Immortal sitting at the top of this ramp, so he's going to deter Kraken without really doing anything. He will come down and realize that that's probably overextending and go back up. And Kraken is going to start chipping away at these rocks. So Zenidor is going to realize, oh boy, Blink is on the way for Kraken now. Zenidor has put a Forge down, a Twilight Council. He really should get another Gateway, but oh well. Actually, no, he doesn't really need it. As long as he continues to warp in, yeah, I mean, in theory, he could just match his opponent in production, and he'll be okay. Zenidor is going to get another Gateway now. The rocks have fallen for Zenidor. He's warped in 2 sentries, so this is interesting. I'm not entirely sure what he plans on doing with those. Maybe some force fields to prevent the Stalkers from backing out of range of his Zealots. He's gonna lose his Immortal because it's being focus fired. He did try and pull it back, but it was a little bit too late. These sentries aren't doing much yet. Zenidor needs to force field the ramp so that his opponent cannot just advance into his natural. 1 sentry goes down, 2 sentries are down, so basically Zenidor's lost 200 gas for basically nothing. He has an Observer, which, I mean, isn't going to do him much of anything at this point. His Mothership Core Photon overcharges, and that's going to force these Stalkers into the corner. And the Zealots are just going to pursue, and these Stalkers really have no place to go until Blink finishes. So, if the Zealots can kill them with the Immortal, they should kill the Stalkers before Blink is ready. Well, I mean, I don't think they need it. They have it pinned. So, so without Blink and without Charge, basically the Stalker beats the Zealot because it is a range unit and can run faster. But if you leave the Stalker there and do not micro it, the Stalker will die to the Zealots. So consequently, when both have ups, the Zealot has Charge and the Stalker has Blink. The Blink Stalker will buy time against the Charge lots because you can blink them back. However, eventually the Charge will catch up to the Zealots, to the Stalkers, and actually faster because the cooldown is shorter. And so the Charge lots will beat the Blink Stalkers if there is no cliff space, essentially. This Immortal is going to take some damage from behind. Zenidor is more concerned about stopping reinforcements from the high ground up here than saving his Immortal at the moment. I think he believes he can do both, which he is correct on for the moment. These Stalkers might decide to just circumvent the army of Zenidor and try and run their way into the main. Zenidor does have an Immortal there, but it will probably die if Zenidor is not careful. He really needs to warp in stuff right now. His Immortal is running away, and Zenidor's army is coming from behind. Zenidor is going to lose that other Immortal, actually, because it gets focus fired down immediately. Kraken blinks back into the main where there is an Immortal waiting to greet it, and there are Zealots on either side. So while he should get this Immortal, he will lose all 5 Stalkers in the process. 5 Stalkers for an Immortal isn't bad, though. Definitely not. Oh no, that Immortal is... okay, it does die. And Blink could not save the Stalker. So at this point, Kraken has all of 3 Stalkers on the map. A number of forward pylons, and Zenidor is basically just working with a stalker and a large number of zealots. Zenidor has not really done anything with his natural. He has a probe there. Like, both of them are just worried about this aggression, pressure, twee and twa, and not really paying attention to their economy. Because Kraken has been on these two bases from the beginning, and look how much he's floating. Kraken has decided to try and circumnavigate the army of Zenidor, and he will get into the natural. He has 3 stalkers, which means that when they shoot together at a probe, the probe has 1 shot left, 1 shot of health left. So this is a very inefficient way to trade stalkers for probes. He will just blink out though, as Zenidor doesn't really have anything to kill them efficiently. He definitely can kill the stalkers, but they're just too mobile at the moment. Zenidor is getting charge, and as I already explained, charge will beat blink when there is no cliff space. When there is cliff space, you can just run around the charge. There is cliff space on this map, of course, but not in large overhangs like Catalina has. So there's just not enough cliff space for these blink stalkers to feel comfortable. Zenidor will clear this pylon and then warp in more units, hold the position. The stalkers are going to move up, and charge will complete for Zenidor. Or, no, that wasn't charge, that was something else. What was that? Charge is almost done though. +1 is also almost done for Zenidor. So with +1 and charge, Zenidor should find himself in a relatively comfortable position. Photon Overcharge is activated. Zenidor does not lose his Mothership Core, and the Stalkers are forced to blink away, as there are too many Zealots. Oh, do those have charge now? Yes, they do. So charge is done for Zenidor, which means that things just got really complicated for Kraken. Yes, Kraken can still outmaneuver the Protoss army, but he can only outmaneuver so long as he has space. So Zenidor's objective in this position is to kind of suffocate the Stalker clump. And Kraken is going to lose a couple Stalkers because they were on cooldown and could not blink. Back home, Kraken is going to start his third, and probably throw down a good number of gateways. Meanwhile, Zenidor has taken out a large number of these Stalkers, and Zenidor might just decide to go on the offensive, since he's come this far on this map, across the map chasing these Stalkers. No, he's gonna go back home. He'll warp in back home some Stalkers to deal with this. He's gonna lose a Zealot, but I mean, what's one Zealot when you've gone for charge? Yes, that's bad, but I mean...
That's like you're talking about the Crusades.
What?
That can be said on the battlefield of the Crusades.
Ha!